too much different. Regardless, though, this bot lane matchup is definitely going to be very volatile. So be interested to see where both junglers end up pathing, especially early on. Feels like there's going to be a lot of defense needed. But Deep Cross Gaming versus CTBC Flying Oyster. Third game for tonight, and the first exhilarating matchup. That's the one. That's the word we used. CFO sitting in the bushes for now. Jimmy copying a little bit of poke.
Okay, so Nesty actually opted for the Spellbook Ghost on Galio. I think these days, most people do opt for the Aftershock because it allows you to get a lot tankier, just a lot easier. But Spellbook Ghost Nimbus, it gives you this window of just, you know, every time you have Ghost up, you can engage from some pretty crazy distances just with the insane amount of movement speed you have. So high risk, high reward.
Oh, Orca stepping very far up. CFO going to be trading at exactly the same time. 2v2, both range bot laners burning their heals. But they're both level 1s. Not too exciting, but DCG do burn both the heal and the barrier. So a small win there for CFO.
I feel like health-wise, though, it is quite a bit better for DCG, and they can really start to leverage control over the lane with that. So I think it's pretty decent for this DCG, honestly. I mean, it is just relatively even, right? It's not like super one-sided either way. Rest getting a bit freaky here up in the top lane. Take some orders on the way out.
Yeah, actually, Shun has had to burn all of his potions already. Is now pretty healthy, but you know, he's not going to have that extra backup sustain in case they cop a bit more poke. Cascada on point so far with the bouncing bombs. And he's also been weaving in autos pretty well as well. Channeling in that inner ADC. And really making sure he comes out on top in these early trades. Rest. Ooh. It's an okay trade onto Hanabi.
Now both junglers are starting bot side and clearing up. So will there be a 3 camp here? Gemini might actually look for it. He is here way before
DCG
Hana.
are going to ward. They're going to catch out Cascada. Cascada does still have the flash available, but Gemini going to look for the stun to see if there's a follow-up route.
Ooh.
And arrow from Shun. First blood secured for Gemini. That is a big pickup for CFO.
Yeah, I think, honestly, even just beyond the kill, shutting down Cascada, you know, stopping him from really just spam pushing this lane is a super big win. And also the kill under the Sedge, I think, is actually pretty good. There just really aren't tools to deal with a tanky Sejuani here. There just isn't a lot of tank busting potential. So I'd say, yeah, massive win there for CFO.
Oh, the pause curse.
First one of the day, though.
Yeah, first one of the day. You know, we made it to game 3. Not too bad. Can't complain too much about that. Hopefully this one is a quick one. And we do get back into the game shortly. But, you know, lots to talk about already. It feels like CFO, you know, as you said before, let's take a look back at this replay. They were, you know, already quite low from this early trade. And the Hawkshot just barely misses.
That's rough.
Just barely misses Gemini. That's why they feel so safe. Face checking this to go and get more vision, but Gemini is here. And Cascada gets stunned up. It's good that he doesn't opt to burn the flash because, you know, ultimately he is going to die here. Good route follow-up from Sledgehammer as well. Very quick on the reaction there. And Shun, of course, with the flash forward on the arrow too. Overall, very coordinated from the side of CFO. I feel like they did get a bit lucky not getting swatted out by the Hawkshot. Overall, still DCG's loss.
Yeah, I think it is really important because as we were saying, this is another one of those bot lanes that kind of needs to get ahead. Not so much because the enemy bot lane is going to outscale you, but just more because you just fall off into the enemy composition, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very hard to play Ziggs into something like Sejuani and Akali because there's just a lot of threat on you and you just don't really have the damage to deal with it. But we are back in the game. And this mid lane matchup, you should expect Nesty to get a lot of priority in the early game, but if he has nowhere to use it, then it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Gemini entering this top side, so actually going to be here in time in order to stop Hana from trading anything on the top side.
Yeah, Gemini all over the map. Has only got 3 camps to his name so far, but you have to feel, as I said, Sejuani, he doesn't care as much about clearing camps. He's already accomplished a lot. I'm going to put that one down on the CV.
He's got the kill as well, so he's feeling pretty good about himself. And yeah, the mid matchup, I mean, again, you're not really expecting it to be too bad in the 1v1. I'd actually say Akali starts to win in the 1v1 after first base. But at the same time, Nesty can still get priority. And obviously can just ult to skirmishes as well. But if your side lanes end up losing and you have nowhere to go as a Galio, that feels very bad. Just going to be like sitting there getting outscaled slowly.
Meanwhile, on the bot side, DCG getting a good amount of poke onto CFO bot laners. But still, you know, they haven't reached the point where they've completely lost control yet. They are at a bit of a deficit. But actually, CS-wise, not doing too bad.
Yep, hanging in there, which is nice. Gemini, you're going to look for something here. Kind of don't think there's anything to look for, honestly. Might just look to reset. Seichu does spot out Hana here.
Yeah, I think interestingly enough, the Ashe Hawkshot actually missed Gemini again, so Hanabi might feel a bit more safe than he actually should be in the scenario. Rest, looking in with the counter-strike, takes up all those minions. Hanabi forced a bit of the flash, but now Gemini, actually misses the flash charge, but he is going to get the stun down here. Might be a kill picked up for Rest. It would be good on him, but Gemini will be the one picking it up in the end. And Hanabi burning his flash very early there. Another kill needed for CFO, and Gemini doing a great job on these early ganks.
Yeah, Gemini time and time again is just finding the angles that his team needs, and even giving over a dragon for this you think is completely worth it. And he's actually gotten both kills, so...
Yeah, that is going to be one tanky early game to Sejuani, definitely. Yeah, successful gank bot, successful gank top as well, you know, he's only got mid left for the trifecta.
Indeed. Now Hanabi probably can cancel the base here. Actually not going to go for it. Just going to keep pushing in. Now the first drag does go over, but they still need more than that as ECG. I mean, they're actually falling behind, I feel like, as a team that sort of needs to get ahead. Also, I think Merc Tread's rush for CFO can be really, really strong here. There's a lot of APCC. Maybe looking bot again as Gemini.
Oh, DCG is so far up despite spotting him out with a hawk shot. The Jin W does go wide, but Gemini just needs one more order for the stun, isn't quite able to connect it. And DCG, thankfully, are going to make it out of that one alive, but it almost feels like that could have been disastrous for them. Yeah,
Gemini, I think he tried to predict Orc's flash there, but Orca just like wisely holding on to it, so can't actually get Ashe's flash at all. There's some high-level mind games going on here. But yeah, I really want to see those Merc Treads come through. The problem I think you have here is DCG is your only AD threats really are the Vi and Gnar. I don't think Ashe really counts as an AD threat anymore. And yeah, like just between those two, they're not going to be able to put up enough damage, especially with both of them behind their counterparts here. So if you go Merc Treads, can the Galio, Ziggs, and Ashe really do a whole lot? I don't think so.
Yeah, whereas on the opposite side of that, Shun is actually opting for the DPS build over the lethality build, which is an interesting one. I feel like he could still have a lot of success with lethality, but I guess they do want a little bit more ability to be able to take down, I guess, Nesty specifically on the Galio.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I feel like Galio with Spellbook is not really that tanky. I'm actually not sure why he went for that. I think this is just a build of the lethality game, to be honest, but it could also be that he feels like he just needs the Vamp Scepter for lane, because it is a lane where you're going to get poked a lot, right? So yeah, maybe he just thinks that if he can get through the lane, it doesn't really matter what he has as long as the Ziggs doesn't snowball too much. But interesting choice nonetheless. Now Herald is up here in 20 seconds. Will DCG look to fight this? I feel like, honestly, they probably can't. I think the Sejuani is just too strong here. Gemini can kind of just 1v5 any fight right now. Like, it's just really not going to take any damage.
Yeah, I do think he hasn't actually quite cashed in all of his gold yet. He's only sitting on a Kindle Gem and a Ruby Crystal. Obviously still pretty tanky at this stage in the game. They are going to start with the Rift Herald, but jumping over the wall. So, Rest actually... I wonder why he did that. I feel like if they had just stayed in the pit, they wouldn't have gotten spotted, and now DCG have the info to work with. You can see already bot lane starting to play a lot more aggressively, and this is a bit bad for CFO because Cascade is going to get very close to his Ziggs W.
I think he can probably get it, to be honest. This is interesting because I think, honestly, even if Rest doesn't show, you can probably know that Gemini's doing that, especially because you have the Ashe, right? And I think Herald just isn't that important in this matchup. I think you just, as long as you don't let Ziggs get the Herald, it's completely fine if you just ignore it. But actually, losing so much bot lane here, if you can keep up this tower, it'll be really good. But you have to feel like in just a few more waves, this should go down.
It's definitely a bit too close for comfort to the Ziggs execution range. But yeah, CFO definitely going to need Gemini to take a a better look at bot lane and make sure that that tower stays up for as long as possible, because it's still, very early on in the game, not even 10 minutes yet. You really don't want to be losing your bot tower that early on.
Yeah, I think you probably want to play pretty aggressive here around bot, like really try and catch out Ziggs and Ashe, because if you can instead herald the enemy bot tower, potentially you can keep your one up for a pretty long time. And perhaps, I thought we were going to see a replay, but we did not. I wanted to see how many plates they got bot. I think it started off at 4 maybe, and they got it down to just 1 plate remaining.
Yeah, and CFO did have a bit of a gold lead, but I feel like that is going to be closing up until Gemini finds a place to set down his own Rift Herald. But yeah, that kind of gives the DCG bot lane a bit of a way back into the game after getting caught out early on and getting ganked a couple times by Gemini. That gold swing could be what they need to stay in the game.
Yeah, I am kind of surprised there was so much priority put on that Herald, because just bringing a couple members to do it is probably fine, but they actually brought up support pretty early, right? So they were pretty committed to getting it, and I think really you can just keep it warded and look to match. If the enemy team goes towards Herald, CFO can match, and if they don't, you can just keep standard lanes, which are winning right now. So interesting choice. I feel like overall it's probably not worth it, but it does depend on how much they can get done with his Herald.
Yeah, definitely a big question mark. Hopefully Gemini has something in store, has a plan to make sure they can get a lot out of it, but it is hard for me to see an avenue for that, because you can't really see. I mean, maybe if he ganks again topside, he can drop it and get a lot more gold onto rest. But in terms of the mid lane and bot lane matchups, they're not really able to get, even close enough to the turret at all.
Now, CFO's bot lane has to reset, and also Nesty has mid priority, so this should be bot lane tower dying in the next 30 seconds or so, which will be a pretty big gold swing over to DCG. Yeah, they're definitely setting up for this. They have the bot priority. They're controlling this bot side jungle. I think it should go down.
So much vision and control for the side of DCG. It means that Cascada is just going to be able to waltz up to this turret, and it is going to get destroyed before 10 minutes. First turret going the way of DCG, and now the gold lead is just a little bit back in their favor.
Yeah, a lot of that gold though on Cascada, more than 1k ahead of Shun. The 30 CS lead as well as all these plates and the tower.
Yeah, the fact that he picks up the solo plates as well and the solo first turret gold is really big for him, because as you can see, he's propelled straight to the top of the rankings, most gold in the game so far. Beating out Gemini, who's got 2 kills to his name.
Now DCG, do you actually want to fight this first dragon? I'm not sure you do. I think it might just be better to give the dragon and maybe swap your Ziggs into top or mid lane and just try and take more plates here.
Yeah, they do already have the first dragon insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly. It's really not too bad if you give it over. Yeah, I'd maybe like to see Ziggs going towards top here, but they're actually bringing him out towards mid, and I think there's just no chance you can contest this in time.
Yeah, they're coming so late. CFO pretty much already got it done. Yeah, dragon is slain, going the way of CFO. And that's just, a little bit of extra sort of wasted time that could have been optimized. But regardless, Cascada finds himself in the mid lane now, going up against Jimmian.
Yes, so they are going to swap lanes, but I'm not sure they can actually make a lot of headway into Akali, just because it's quite scary to actually hit the tower. Oh, actually getting a lot of chunk.
Does connect with Jimmian, gonna get stunned up. Oh wow, that really didn't do as much damage as I was expecting from Cascada. But it is gonna force Jimmian off that turret for now, and another play picked up for DCG.
Yes, that was really good. Nice arrow as well. I think if you can't poke out the Akali early, it is very difficult to walk up to the tower. But they get a chunk and she doesn't have TP. So can actually look to take some more plates mid now, although Shun is rotating to that mid lane.
Definitely good looks for DCG, despite finding themselves a little bit behind in the early game, have found their own way to bring that gold deficit back up and in their favor. They're not crumbling just yet. CFO haven't been able to do much else beyond the first few minutes.
Yeah, I think CFO, they're kind of fine with this slow game state, right? If they can just stop Ziggs from accelerating further and further, they're doing pretty decent. The Herald actually will go down mid. Interesting choice. I think, yeah, it probably is the best spot, given that sieging this later on is going to be pretty much impossible. Hana might actually be out of position here.
Spot. Yeah, there's 3 members of CFO, but actually Gemini is going to be the one who backs out of that first. Potentially worried about Orca, but wait. Lots of CC going down onto Hana. He can't move at all. Does have to flash out, and the Nesty coming in with the Galio ult to protect his fellow teammate. Regardless though, flash expended for Hana, and really not much investment for CFO. Sure, they use 3 of their ults, but that's that's what they want to do with their ultimates at this stage.
Yeah, Jimmy can use this as an opportunity just to kind of get ahead on the side lane. Does feel good. If you can get that one item as Akali without Galio having really affected the map, you're feeling pretty good about the game state. And also the top lane matchup, I feel like Rest has been kind of quietly scaling up and is going to be a force to be reckoned with the Sejuani here as well.
Yeah, definitely has the potential to become a menace in the game. Has picked up the Sunder now as well, so significantly stronger than Hanabi on the Gnar. Both junglers finding their way to the top side, sniffing out a potential dive. The rest still trading very aggressively onto Hanabi.
Yeah, Nosy has this jungler in the area, but Gemini is actually going to start moving back towards mid. The sides, there isn't really going to be anything too much going on around top. Ooh, an arrow actually comes through and is flash.
Forced to flash.
That's both ults down. Shun doesn't really have any mana here though.
Yeah, Cascada ulting a little bit too late and isn't able to, change his mind before it's already come out. Rest, once again, he really is coming out on top of a lot of these trades. Seems pretty comfortable on the Jack so far.
Yeah, he has the Sunder already completed, so it's pretty hard for Gnar to trade back at this point. Cascada is potentially going to get some more damage on this mid tower here. Next Dragon isn't for a couple more minutes, although plates have now fallen.
I would really like to see CFO make use of the ults that have come back up again. It feels like they do have a window. Gemini has picked up his Radiant Virtue already in this game. So you have to feel that their sort of mid lane 3v3 is going to be a lot stronger than DCG's.
Yeah, and I think I have to see CFO's items at this next drag, because there aren't Merc trades completed except from the Sejuani so far. But I think they are just stronger in the fight right now. Galio has yet to pick up his Mythic, so Nesty going to be significantly weaker than Jimmy in this team fight. They do have Mega Gnar on Hanabi, but it's swiftly running out.
Both teams committing a lot of members, 5 whole members from each side. They really want this Rift Herald. Seems like a lot of commitment for, honestly not that big of an objective, especially considering the Dragon is coming up in a minute. But DCG, they're making their way in. Stun does drop onto Nesty. Pops the stopwatch as well. Rest, stunning someone up. Hana is already down. The curtain call is still active, and Jimmy finding his way into the backline. Orca drops down. Hanabi is next on the chopping block. Jimmy manages to avoid the biggest center damage from Cascada's ultimate, but CFO picking up a couple of easy kills.
I think it's kind of insane that DCG tried to contest that, honestly, because you don't even have your completed item on Galio. You just run out of the Mega Gnar, and the enemy team is so much stronger than you right now. Feels like it would just be... Rest actually going for it.
Oh, actually does pick up the kill. It's going to fall down in return. 1 for 1.
But yeah, DCG, I feel like they were probably better off just pushing down mid and maybe getting something with the Ziggs. Instead, they opt into a fight that just... I don't really think they can win it. Like, you really need poke to land before this fight starts as DCG. But CFO, they started with all 5 members at full HP. And there's just not enough damage here, really, especially with Galio not even having his completed item. And Jimmy plays it pretty well on the backline, zones out 3 members and deals a ton of damage and still gets out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was on purpose or not, but Gemini... Oh, arrow goes wide. Gemini actually, in the last fight, he interrupts Nesty's taunt animation almost instantly. And without that, Nesty really isn't much of a champion. He's relying on that AoE taunt to provide that CC for the rest of his team. Gemini going in very aggressively onto Orca. Doesn't find the last auto for the stun. Oh, does. No vision, though. But DCG are on the Dragon. They might find themselves a little bit stuck here. Jimmy is on the back end as well. If they try to get out of the back of the pit, he jumps in with the perfect execution. The Galio ult is popped and returns. Jimmy's going to get knocked up, but still, not too vulnerable. He is dropping a little bit low now. Gemini's ult goes way wide, but Rest now on the back line. Cascada's got no mana. Gobbling up some fruit while he tries to fight for his life. But DCG managing to narrowly escape that one with 0 casualties.
Yes, they do manage to pick up the Dragon. I like how at the end of that, Rest was kind of debating in his head whether or not he should go for the 1v4 or not. And he was pretty close to taking it, I think.
Yeah, and now DCG, actually, kill that Rift Herald pretty quickly. So CFO not finding much value from the Rift Herald itself. But of course, it feels like earlier the main objective was that fight. Arrow looking for Jimmy, but I don't think it's on target. Good attempt though. Jimmy is definitely quite vulnerable right now, especially considering Hanabi is in his mega form. But DCG forced to cop a few bases because, they lost so hard in that early fight, and it means that CFO are likely going to be picking up this mid turret. The Ziggs ult is available to try and clear the wave, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough.
Looks like it will go down here. The Ziggs ult does come through. Actually, a lot of damage. Maybe they can't go for it.
Wow, actually, turret surviving just barely. Cascada saves its life. CFO, though, still feels like they're slightly on the front foot.
Yeah, rest is quickly becoming an issue in the side lane here. Oh, actually a flash
Shun
forward.
flashing forward, rooted. Curtain call drops, but it's not even needed. Cascada drops almost instantly, and Orca is next. Double kill picked up for Shun. Rest is here as well. Doesn't quite connect with the counter-strike.
Yeah, that was very decisive from CFO. They just noticed that Cascada too far up on that mid wave, an ADC classic without sums, and it's just caught, and they pick up 2 kills, and the game is really getting away from DCG here. I don't think you can afford to fall behind as Ash and Ziggs, and here you are, down 3k gold. You do potentially have Dragon win conditions, but it gets harder and harder to contest the more you fall behind.
Yeah, may need to introduce Cascada to Predators from the LCO. You know, getting caught on that mid wave, feeling a bit too comfortable. Very ballsy play from Shun, flashing forward and securing that initial CC means that Cascada is pretty much as good as dead. A good coordination from Shun and Slaytrue to make sure that the CC is chained, leaving him with no escape. And Shun now pulling ahead just slightly in terms of the overall gold. Has got a shield bow to his name so far, so not not at a big sort of power spike for the DPS Varus, but gradually making his way there, is building towards the wit's end as well.
Gemini, here's around mid, could just look again. Won't find anything just yet. And next Dragon is in 2 more minutes. And CFO, you have to be thinking they really want to fight this. They can extend their lead here pretty hard. And as long as they don't let Cascada and Orca poke before the fight starts, they should have no trouble winning a 5v5. There really just isn't enough damage right now. It's pretty much all poke damage, very little sustained damage. And Sejuani with the Merc Treads, with the magic resist, she's going to be virtually unkillable.
Yeah, triple Merc Threads. Merc Treads. Picked up for CFO. Hana is going to vault break out of this. Oh, Ashel just barely goes wide again. And CFO, it feels like at this point in the game, all they really need to do is keep finding those picks with Shun and Slaytrue, because they definitely do have the damage to follow it up. Yeah,
and worth noting, this is, I think, the first time we've seen the successful Jhin support. So it is pretty nice when you get ahead, you get the Umbral Glaive, and you can actually control a lot of the vision.
Jimmy, looking. Ooh, never mind, just a bit of a... I don't know what that protobot really was, to be honest. Doesn't even chip through the Nesty's shield.
It's just asserting dominance. Cascada actually completes his Archangel, and he's pretty close to fully stacking it as well. Now, it's going to be hard. I feel like your poke really doesn't stick. There's just so much magic resist. And the one member that doesn't have it, Shun, he has lifesteal.
Yeah, and he's going to be very close to his wit's end already. As soon as he picks it up, you have to imagine life gets that little bit harder for Cascada, even though he is hitting those key item breakpoints that he wants to be hitting. It might not be enough with him sort of as solo damage threat at this point in the game. We're just gonna wait out those minions. Dragon is up in 30 seconds. Hana's making his way down now. Rest might be in a bit of trouble actually. Hana is close to Mega as well, so Rest really needs to watch himself here. He's gonna get Volt Breaked by Hana. Pops. Doesn't pop the counter-strike just yet, gets stunned up. Ash Arrow just barely goes wide. TP comes in as well, just for good measure. Nesty providing that extra bit of moral support, and Rest is going to get taken out. Doesn't get the flash over the wall. It is going to go down. And ooh, yeah, Jimmy and trying to get some stuff on the top side as well, but shut down by the Ziggs ult. And DCG going to have control over this Dragon, it looks like.
Yeah, I think they might just be able to start it. It's up to Ken, CFO 45.
Oh, Hana gets stunned up. Gets CC down as well, and as we've seen before, gets... Ooh, actually survives on 1 HP, but Shun now is the target. Nesty dropping him very low. She gets shut down by Orc, who picks up the kill. Galio comes out to dissuade any further engage from Jimmy.
Okay, I think the 1-for-1 might actually be good for CFO. It buys time for the TP to come through from rest.
Jimmy's still looking. He might be in a bit of trouble here. Does shuriken out of there, but Hanvi's still on the chase. It's close to Mega as well. Definitely feeling fearless. But yeah, definitely do agree as well. You know, it looked like DCG were a bit caught. I'm not too sure actually. It feels, I mean, you can break it down in this replay.
Yeah, it starts off well because Shun, he doesn't have flash here, even though he has the cleanse. So like, yeah, Shun going down so early, I feel like there isn't a whole lot he can do about it with the insane engage coming in from Galio. I feel like this is almost a fight you expect to lose as CFO, given that you're 4v5, you don't have sums in your AD, and the fact that you come out with a 1-for-1 and you pick up the Dragon is extremely good for them.
Yeah.
BCG, they can't, yeah, I feel like they just can't really get anything more, and there's so much magic resist coming through. It's really difficult.
Yeah, gradually looking scarier and scarier for DCG. They're looking on Jimmy now on the top side. They've got a big wave built up. Arrow just barely goes wide again. Handling the Vault Breaker, Jimmy is going to just walk that one off, but Tower likely picked up for DCG. Another Proto Battle for dominance.
Yeah, they have a pretty good 1-3-1 at this point. I think both CFO's side laners are reasonably safe, and it probably requires like at least 2 people to take them down. Shun could be in trouble here.
He's in trouble. Season this comes down. Zigzag piled on top, but actually flashes out just before it connects, and now... yeah, Hana goes down, gets rooted up. Gemini unstoppable.
With Hana dead, I think you could look to start up the Baron. A lot of the ults are missing from DCG as well, so it's not as easy to contest. Although at the same time, CFO's Baron DPS isn't insane.
I think they should look to start it, but just, you know, to force DCG to respond and look for the fight, because, you know, Cascada, he doesn't really want to be in that river area where he can easily get flanked on. You can already see Jimmy on the side there in the tri-bush. Watching and waiting. Hanabi is onto it though, he knows, he's got the experience, understands that Jimmy will be looking for a flank and chases him out. And now CFO, they're taking the Baron very low actually. Arrow comes out, connected with Gemini, but red team picks up the Baron Nashor. Hanabi stunning up, gets rooted, and now CFO in the back of the pit. It looks like Shun is going to go down, dishes out a bit of damage, but double kill picked up for Cascada. But the Baron ultimately goes the way of CFO.
Yeah, I think still pretty decent for DCG. You know, like we said, they have that very good poke comp. And so once you're kind of committed to the Baron, it's a bit more difficult to turn. They get a lot off the back end of it.
Wallbreaker just barely doesn't connect. Cease and Desist is not available for Hana. Zig's ultimate committed as well. Mega Inferno Bomb. Not feeling too mega this time around. But let's take a look back at that Baron play. Yeah,
so Jimmy is chased out on the flank, and everyone's kind of in the pit, and it's looking like not too bad. I think Gemini, though, the problem with getting stunned is that you can't proc this Aftershock until you're, you know, basically dead. And then from there, I think Shun kind of gets stuck in the pit. Once again, used the flash in the previous fight and is immediately punished for it.
Yeah, it does feel like CFO didn't really fully think that one through, you know, because when you've got Shun sitting in the back of the pit with no flash, and you know that DCG is coming to contest with a poke composition, you know, it feels like there's no real way he's going to make it out of there. Bit of an oversight on the side of CFO. Even though they pick up the Baron in the end, I'm not sure how much they're going to be able to get with it.
Yeah, I think they still have Baron on both their side laners, which means they should be able to at least create a lot of pressure. But I'd be surprised to see any tier 2s go down. I think Ziggs, even against Baron, does just have a bit too much wave clear. But perhaps this tier 1 top, maybe the tier 2 bot ends up going down.
Yeah, it feels like at this point, ooh, CFO connecting that root as well as the stun, but not enough damage quite yet. Not lethality Varus, so Orca is going to survive, gets body blocked for by Hana. But Rest is here on the flank, unstoppable. Gets dropped down very low. Rest is now on the run. Let's see if he can leap strike out of that one. Does make it out alive. Dropping very low actually. Zig's dealing a lot of damage now. Hanabi on the chase. Nesty as well, flashes forward with the taunt, does connect. Rest dropped very, very low, but leap strikes once again, gets the heal from the Sundra, and ultimately does live to see another day. CFO looking for that pick initially on Orca, but a lot expended to save him for the side of DCG.
Yeah, on the other side though, Rest, what a maniac. He just runs like 1v4 behind their tier 2 tower. Does pretty much a full circuit of the map, but manages to get out. And now that he's TP back and a lot of these cooldowns are gone, could actually look for tier 2s here.
Oh, TP is actually expended to keep that minion alive. Ash ult once again goes wide, and Jimmy and Rest chipping away this tower is probably going to go down. Shuriken does connect. Actually follows up on that as well. And Nesty dropping very low, forced to E out of there, and that means the CFO have even more room to play with. They're pressuring this end of tower with the Baron buff as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of cooldowns missing. The Zigzag comes through.
Not having that for damage is going to hurt. Gemini actually is the target now. Gets knocked down very low. Sigil comes out to make sure Hana doesn't keep trying to engage. Cease and Desist is available, but Hana, now below half HP, probably doesn't want to go in on that. And now the Dragon is coming up in 20 seconds.
Yeah, both teams on this second Dragon here. I think DCG, you have ults up here. If you can keep Meganar, you could maybe look for a fight. CFO, they're not super healthy here, and they're missing Sigil as well as Varus ult.
Yeah, you have to feel for DCG. This is the moment. Double Mega Nut ult comes out from Hanabi, followed up by the knockup from Nesty's ult. Glacier drops the curtain call, but he's a little bit too close. Jimmy not able to find much damage either. Does have to flash out, but he's out of the fight now. Doesn't have TP available either, so CFO gonna be looking to retreat for now. Does have a little bit of Ocean Soul taking over and has the Honey Fruit as well, so is that enough HP to potentially find an angle? But it is definitely very dicey still for CFO.
Yeah, I think CFO should just give this. They might try and contest, but I really think Jimmy's a bit too low. I honestly think to send rest towards the top side, or sorry, the bot side, maybe you could actually trade something for this, but instead just kind of standing around and then deciding to give it anyway. Definitely not the most efficient game coming out of CFO.
Does feel like a little waste of time. They are still going to get to their mid and top waves in time, so they don't miss too much CS. But once again, you know, just that a little bit not optimized. Ashel doesn't connect. Man, Orca's having a hard time hitting Jimmy in. Not quite in his head just yet. But 3 dragons now for DCG. Let's take a look at how Hanabi started this all off.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy by CFO, I feel like, to just... I think here, you've already got the Mega Gnar proc, you can just leave, but they actually stay to try and poke. Instead, they just take so much damage on the way out trying to disengage, and it's pretty difficult for Shun to really get some meaningful damage here. He gets a few auto attacks, but it just doesn't really convert into anything.
Yeah, DCG, when their 3 topside champions are up close and personal, it does become a little bit scary for CFO, especially when Jimmy and Gemini locked down and sent, you know, very low HP. It seemed like they were trying to CC chain Hanabi before he could get his Mega Gnar off, but it was pretty ambitious, and ultimately doesn't work out for them.
Now Jack's rest is actually gone for the force of nature, so really becoming quite the magically resistant unit.
Definitely resisting a lot of magic, that's for sure.
The Void is completed though.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of magic, yeah. Void stuff completed for Cascada. He did have that completed a little bit ago. Now working towards likely his Rabadons or Horizon Focus.
If it's not a Rabadons, we riot.
Yeah, but Cascada, you know, he's made it over that initial harm, and now having that Void stuff available is going to mean his damage is a lot more significant against the magically resisted units of CFO.
Yeah, now if we go ultra late game here, Ziggs can do a lot, but I still feel like it's going to be troublesome to actually get meaningful damage dealt. I think CFO should be winning fights at this point. I really think they've just mis-executed the last few. Also, look at this. Shun's level 15 against Hana's level 13. ADC is 2 levels up over the enemy jungler.
Yeah, it definitely is a little bit rough. Gemini, oh, Rest actually is the one who looks in initially. Nesty trades the taunt in response, but look at Jimmy, and he's got an awesome flank. Does get spotted out now by the Hawkshot, so forced to retreat. CFO looking for a fight there, but not gonna get it. DCG really not interested, but that does mean Rest is able to skulk back to that bot lane and get it pushing once again. Someone's gonna have to go to respond to that, and he's got the Frozen Heart Force of Nature, so he's definitely not easy to kill by yourself. DCG might have to send more than one member here. Hanabi is gonna be here to clear the wave. But it feels like Rest is still able to propel himself even further ahead of his lane opponent.
Yeah, and DCG, if they can pick up this 4th dragon in 2 minutes, that would be a really good spot for them to be, and they need a little bit extra in order to contend in this ultra late game, not having an ADC. And CFO, they have pretty good Baron control, but I'm not sure they want to start Baron given that they don't have a lot of DPS. There's still a lot of poke coming in here from DCG. Dragon's in a minute and a half, so if you don't start Baron now, you might want to start swapping your vision back to the bot side.
Yeah, Hawkshot comes out and spots everyone on CFO. And we're starting to see the drawbacks of not having that lethality Varus. You know, you don't have that ult on such a short cooldown. It means they're not able to, you know, they're a bit more hesitant to look for those picks consistently. Baron dropped to 6k. Hana does have an angle here for a smite steal, and CFO trying to be careful around that, not taking it any lower. Waiting to see if DCG step too far up, but they're playing it very patiently, and Hanabi is very close to Meg as well. It does get engaged on by Gemini, rooted, but the Galio comes out, buys some time for Hanabi to lock in the Mega form. Mega Inferno Bomb comes out, Hanabi dropped very low. Jimmian looking on the back line, Rest doing the same thing. Jimmian dropping so many people low. Shun is down for the count. Cascada now on the run. That is not where you want to be as a Ziggs. DCG separated now completely. Nessie's on the other side of the map, and Cascada all left on his own. Tries to blast off the map, off the rift, but gets locked in by the game mechanic. And now CFO turning their attention back to the Baron Nashor.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty tough fight for DCG. They kind of fumbled the engage, and also think Galliot was used way too early. And that, on top of not being able to land any kind of meaningful poke before the fight starts, just makes it really, really difficult. And I think Jimmy as well played this fight just really damn well. We'll probably see in the replay, but he had a really good flank. He played it patiently, and then he just got into that back line and pretty much killed everyone.
Yeah, it does feel like DCG, they expended so much to keep Hanabi alive on that angle. We'll have a look at how it all unfolded. You can see here he starts off with a really good flank, but as you said, gets shut down pretty quickly.
Yeah, so Hanabi, I think he just loses a bit too much by getting caught here, and the Galliot comes through, but now there's no threat onto Shun. The cease and desist goes onto him, but he still manages to flash out and keep dealing. And in the meantime, Jimmy is just kind of all up in the back line. I think if the Galliot had been kind of... Oh, Shun actually got sniped by a Comet in the fight, but I think if the Galliot had instead just been used with the Vi, they could have maybe won this fight. But yeah, Hanabi getting picked ultimately was kind of their downfall.
Yeah, it does feel like DCG are very much dependent on that Vi Galliot combo because, you know, without that, it's really not enough to lock down Shun. You can see as soon as he flashes out, there's really no more threat left of him on the fight other than, I guess, stray comets from outer space. Mega Infinibomb gets thrown to try and steal the dragon, but to no avail. CFO considerably ahead in gold and with the Baron Nashor as well, looking to pressure both mid and bot.
Yeah, I think CFO, if they can somehow find and engage onto Ziggs, the game pretty much just ends there and then. But it's pretty hard.
Oh, Ashol. Oh man, so many of these are going wide. It's a bit rough for Orca. They've been close, but definitely no cigar.
They can just slowly siege this mid and bot down. I think unless some random engage happens, the game will probably not end here for a bit. Maybe you can go for 2 inhibs, but most likely we'll just have both teams playing towards that 4th dragon instead. This could definitely be a long one though. We got the Ziggs wave clear.
Doing a good job of deleting those minions in as well. Hanabi in the mid lane, making sure the minion wave doesn't hit the tower at all. CFO though, looks like they might have a window here. Curtain Call is dropped to try and provide some zoning, but DCG are not having any of it, making sure to hold their ground. And hold their ground they do.
I'm surprised they're just playing 5 people in one lane here, because I feel like you should... Rest doesn't have TP, and neither does Jimmy, which is, I guess, why they're sort of struggling to pressure the other lanes. Because I think if you could get someone in top, you know, really try and pull the enemy team apart, it's much better. But without having TPs, it is just kind of difficult to get stuff done.
Yeah, CFO now really trying to bang their head against this bot tower, which is now even lower than it was before. Gemini walking forward to try and dissuade that wave clear. The cannon minion is still alive. Hana looking on the Gemini, drop down to half HP, drops the stun in return. Varus ult barely misses, but the Ashe ult does connect on Gemini. Mega Infinibomb is dropped, hits 1. Rest is trying to buy some time as well. Make sure that CFO have enough space to play with. Jimmy is now here and available. CFO gonna back off. Baron buff is likely about to run out as well.
Yeah, Baron is now gone, and they really didn't accomplish a whole lot with that. Obviously, it is difficult when you don't have TPs, but I think they could have gotten a little bit more done.
Yeah, they do end up around about 2.5k gold off their Baron power play, but Hanabi now might be caught. No Sejuani ult available though, so it does get rooted up, but not much available to follow up.
Rabadon's is completed here for Jimmy and gonna be pretty insane on this backline. Neither Ashe nor Ziggs have any MR. So gonna be pretty much 2 free kills if Jimmy can get on them.
Yeah, Cascada does have his own Rabadons as well, so definitely competing for a lot of DPS. Cascada does have to be very careful in these fights, not to get caught by, you know, a stray Jinru or a stray Sejuani ult, or even like a stray Jimmy on the flank. Definitely, as the main DPS member, has to be very patient in these fights.
2 more minutes on what is going to be the 4th drag for either of these teams. It's not often we see this many drags picked up before the soul ends up going over. And honestly, you can maybe steal this with Ziggs ult. It might be doing enough damage at this point where you can actually outsmite with it.
That would be a way to take out the 4th dragon. DCG making their way into the river. It's still early days before the dragon spawns in 1.5 minutes.
You have a lot of control, but it is very difficult for them to contest the side lanes. They don't get priority on either side lane. which does mean they kind of just have to react to these and then sort of come late, which should mean that CFO can get all the control. You have to feel bad for a poke comp. If you start a drag without control, it's definitely going to be difficult. So it's not really what you want here. Maybe, I was going to say, maybe you can Ziggs ult to side lane, but not having Ziggs ult for the team fight seems just too difficult to win.
Yeah, it seems like both teams are actually indexing a lot into, you know, those 5v5 team fights. Rest, you can see what his build.
He's got his Zhonya's.
He's got his Zhonya's. You know, on top of the Frozen Heart and the Force of Nature, you know, his split pushing definitely takes a hit, but in return, his team fighting is definitely a lot more powered up, and having that Zhonya's as well helps him potentially be that initial engage for CFO. It definitely helps a lot when you've got people like the Varus, like the Jhin to follow up on that.
Gemini's actually
Sage ult hits Hana. Oh, Ashe ult hits Gemini in return, means that he isn't able to follow up with his damage. Curtain call. Gonna hit a few people, but as the support, it's not gonna do too much. Hanabi might be caught out. Oh, that's a misplay from CFO. Rest stuns up Hanabi, but Shun not expecting it. Pops out his Varus ult, and it unfortunately misses without any effort required from Hanabi. And that is a key cooldown. It is gonna be back up, you know, in time. Ooh, actually no, I don't think it'll be back up by the time these teams start fighting around the dragon. DCG have a small window here.
Hanabi doesn't have Mega Gnar right now. Like you said, there are cooldowns missing, but I think without the Mega Gnar, I don't think you can contest this.
Yeah, he's shown as well. CFO knows that they... Oh, Jimin is on the flank. Hanabi is the target. Forced to flash out. Ashe ult connects with Rest. Mega Infinite Bomb jumping down on 2, hitting the outer ring. Jimin forced to pop the Zhonya's. Nesty is on top of him with the taunt. It's going to get dropped down. Shut down from Hana, and now DCG, they're looking to see what else they can pick up. Slate Tree flashing over the wall. Nothing going to be chasing them. But CFO down one member now, and that's the biggest member of their team, you have to feel. Ocean Drake is available, and it is potentially the soul for DCG. CFO, they need some sort of angle here. Hanabi does get rid of it and takes a bit of damage. It is actually a bit difficult for DCG to find this dragon. They don't exactly have the best DPS onto it. They need the Ziggs for the poke onto CFO, and in return, he's not going to be hitting the dragon himself. CFO still very much, you know, healthy health bars.
Okay, actually pushed him out.
Comes out. Dragon is on 2k. Who gets the smite? It is going to be Gemini. They pick up the Ocean Soul. Hana goes down as well. Shun chasing down Nesty. Does stun him up on the backside, but Rest is going to pick him up slowly but surely. And now Cascada, the only surviving member, he's out of mana. He's no longer a champion. Dodges the root. But Gemini pops the ultimate just to make sure that Cascada doesn't waste any more of his time. DCG. This is actually really good for CFO. They're delaying the respawn times even more. Not that it even matters. Kind of just playing around with his food. CFO, they've got the Ocean Soul. They're hitting on the Nexus Towers. Gemini finishing off Cascada, finally putting him out of his misery. CFO putting DCG out of their misery, out of the game, propelling themselves to those 4 wins in the split alongside PSG Talon.
Yeah, Gemini at the end just kind of taking Cascada for a walk around the rift. But wow, I mean, CFO, they managed to win that fight with Jimmy pretty much just dying for free. So basically a 4v5 on that. Obviously some cooldowns were used, but yeah, pretty impressive. At the same time though, I feel like the game as a whole should have been CFO's most of the time, and it was pretty messy. I think there was a lot of just like random deaths and stuff that happened. So yeah, CFO, ultimately they do pick up the win, but I think it should have been a lot cleaner. I think the draft difference is pretty big as well.
Yeah, there definitely is still stuff to improve on for CFO, you know, especially in sort of like the mid to late game area. The stuff that was bringing them success earlier on, like, you know, finding picks with Shun, with the Varus ult and Slate Tree to follow up on the Jhin, they didn't really find as many of those opportunities. And it feels like that was really what was driving them to accelerate their gold lead. So not having those options continually available did definitely slow down their ability to